My best friend is the one who brings out the best in me. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Caitlin's very best friend. 25 years ago, I was the new kid in school, and Caitlin came up to me on the playground and demanded that I be her best friend. This was the first time that I realized that when she wants something, it's going to happen. And I'm not good with these pages. They're tied together because I know that I'll drop them. Caitlin is nothing if not determined. While I might not have known it that day, her demand on that playground would eventually be one of the most important commitments that I'd made in my life. I think it's important to mention that this speech was especially hard for me because I make Kate proofread literally everything that I write. So here goes nothing. Caitlin is one of those amazing friends who will do absolutely anything for you. I'm sure she's taken the time to write a birthday or anniversary card or a random care package to most of you in this room. She's the type of friend who, when writing her letters to Santa, asked for a pony for her best friend. It's never mattered how far away I've lived or how long it had been since we had seen each other. We can always pick up right where we left off. She's literally visited me in every city, state, and country I've lived in, and has always made an effort to let me know that she'll always be there. She's the first person I'm usually texting in the morning, and usually the last person I text before we go to bed. She sleeps with her phone under her pillow. She's always been the first person. She's always been the first person that I go to with any sort of news, drama, or gossip. And she always is interested in whatever it happens to be. I often joke that I can never move 20 minutes away from Caitlin because she won't let me. But honestly, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have my best friend around. For those of you that have spent any time with Caitlin or myself, you know that we couldn't be any more different. I'm a therapist who talks about feelings all day with my clients. Well, she's an actuary who does something involving numbers that I'll probably never understand. She's logical and intelligent, introverted, and I'm ridiculous, emotional, and I'm usually the loud one, although you couldn't tell from the speech, huh? I generally just follow the rules, but Caitlin makes it a point to question everything and never does anything just because it's the normal thing to do. Despite our multitude of irrational differences, Caitlin has been there through every bad event, every beautiful event, every life-changing event I have had since I was 5 years old. Many of you know Caitlin as a planner and an organizer. Some of you might even say she's a crazy person for having this wedding planned in January. But the side of Caitlin that would surprise and amaze you is the Caitlin at concerts who screams like a lunatic and dances like crazy. It's insane. That's my Caitlin. The side of Caitlin that I see that most people don't is the one who would play with toys with me when we were little until we were way too old, who never judged me even though we couldn't possibly be any different, who sings Taylor Swift songs in the car, as we all witnessed a couple of minutes ago, at the top of her lungs, even though she's shy in some other settings. I know the Caitlin who's grown into the beautiful woman that you see today. I know the Caitlin who's a total goofball, and yet who has grown into such an amazing, gorgeous, independent, and outgoing woman. I first met Tom, here you go, Tom, when we were collecting pumpkins for some sort of church event. I'm not a member of Old South, sorry, but it's very, very important to them. So I volunteered to be the driver, because we live in Boston, So this random man that I'd never met volunteered his entire Saturday to drive around with this crazy person and her best friend and pick out pumpkins, which was interesting. He was kind and gentle and just seemed to have this ease with Caitlin that I, hadn't seen in someone in a while. When we dropped him off, I turned to Caitlin and said, "So you're gonna date him, right?" Caitlin, being oblivious in love, assumed that they were just friends and brushed off my comment as, best friend ramblings, as they typically are. It wasn't until I got a call that they were driving around Southie for hours just chatting, and he had finally gotten up the nerve to tell her that he liked her, that she officially believed me. At first I was skeptical of the relationship. Having been Caitlin's best friend for about a million years, no one really seems good enough for her. But as much as I dug and prodded, I couldn't really find anything wrong with Tom. For those of you that don't know me, I have a tendency to ask investigating, sometimes annoying questions. I've got no time for small talk and tend to try to get people to think a little bit deeper about themselves, I like to think. My parents used to call it the police investigation. But every time that Tom was in the hot seat, he would take it with grace and answer my questions openly and honestly. He just wanted to give me the chance to get to know him. And if there was anything I knew from very early on, it was that this man was madly in love with my best friend. I tease her that I've never seen a man in love with someone as much as he loves her. Sorry, Stephen. But it's pretty darn amazing. Tom has the patience of the saint, as Jack mentioned earlier. He's one of the kindest people I know, and he brings out the very best in my best friend. Together, they are open, they communicate about everything, and are constantly working on learning how to do it more effectively. They listen to one another and really try to understand how to be the best partner that they can be. He has challenged my amazing best friend to step out of her comfort zone and push some of her boundaries in a way that makes me so proud to know them both. I remember one conversation early on where I asked her why she wanted to marry Tom. Caitlin, being the rational one of our duo, is never one to jump into things quickly. And although they'd been friends for some time, I was surprised at how quickly the romantic relationship escalated. Caitlin turned to me, matter-of-factly as always, and told me that he was the right one for her. He was someone that although she loved being single, she was ready to give up her single life for. He made her happy, and that was that. They say a great marriage is not when the perfect couple come together. It's when an imperfect couple learns to enjoy their differences. While all of us are always imperfect in our own way, I suppose it's time for me to make some room for Tom to be the other half of that great marriage. I'm so excited to see what amazing adventures the future holds for the two of you. But most of all, I think it's important to mention that whatever it brings, Tom, I will always know what's going on as Caitlin texts me in the middle of every conversation. And Kay, you will always be my person. I love you both.
Hey everyone, I'm Matt. I'm the best man. Thank you. So Thomas and I have a long, sordid history. We met back in kindergarten. The three teachers were Mrs. Davis-Mullis, Mrs. Sullivan, and Mrs. Underwood. And we quickly found that Mrs. Underwood kind of sounds like Mrs. Underwear. And the good news is our sense of humor hasn't changed much. So I briefly outlined 4 things that I've really enjoyed about my friendship with Thomas that I think will make him a great partner going forward. One is his honesty. So Thomas and I worked at this crazy farmer's market in Greenwich, Connecticut. I don't know if you know about farmer's market in Greenwich, Connecticut, but it's kind of like catnip for rich people. So they come down and they say, was that lettuce organic? Did an animal ever touch this lettuce? Because I don't want to buy it unless it just descended from heaven. And the funny thing about this business is it was a cash-only business. So our farmer, Dave, would just let us handle the register. He'd go deliver to Whole Foods, and we would be handling hundreds of dollars in cash because Greenwich people don't make change. So we even had 1500s in our pockets and just slip them in, and we just go, no one mug us, please. And we never stole a cent. And that's because Thomas and I are honest. Number 2, Thomas is loyal. We both enjoy artistic expressions of the musical variety. In high school, we were both involved in a production of The Miserables. or Les Miserables, if you must. And I was honored with the romantic lead of Marius. And Thomas was cast as my understudy. If you know anything about me, I don't miss a performance. But the odd thing is, our lead, Jean Valjean, decided he was going to jump on my legs before opening night. And there was a pop sound. It didn't sound too good. No, I went to the hospital. And so Thomas was told he might have to perform. The problem is, Thomas didn't know any of his blocking, or his lines, or the music. But he was going to do it anyway, because he's a loyal friend. Number 3. Thomas is devoted. As a kid, on the weekends, all you want to do is go play with your friends. So I would call up Thomas and be like, dude, Sunday, let's hang out. He's like, totally, awesome. And I was like, great, let's go to the playground. He's like, great, I'll do that after church. I was like, all right, church is like 9:30, so you're out by 10:30. He's like, no, I'll be done by like 4. I was like, what? How could it possibly take that long? Well, I gotta finish the coffee hour, and then I volunteer, and then I have senior pilgrim fellowship, and I have to like go talk to sick people and all that stuff. And I was like, I really think you should come to the playground. But he never did, because he's devoted to his community. Lastly, Thomas is what I like to call game. And that encompasses a lot of things. It means he rolls with the punches. He's up for anything. And this includes creating games that involve smelling trains before they arrive. This includes creating a game where one person tries to hit another person with a shuttlecock while bouncing on a trampoline. This means we pretended to be younger than we were, trick-or-treating way past we were supposed to by just ding-donging and getting on our knees, pretending to be children. And this means he's generally a great person to hang out with, because he enjoys anything and everything you do, as long as you tend to choose what it's going to be. Right? Yeah. So, Caitlin. When I met Caitlin, I visited Thomas after a long stint away, and I showed up at Thomas's place, and she was there, and I was like, oh, that's awesome, cool. I've never met this person before, so Thomas, what do you want to do? I don't know, what do you want to do? It's like, okay, I'm here visiting out of town. So we found this thing called dock dogs. I don't know if you've heard about it. They train dogs to jump on a ramp and catch a toy in the air and splash into a puddle of water. And Caitlin was totally down for it, which was awesome. Because Caitlin and I like to plan things, and not having plans sometimes irks us. And that is what made me like Caitlin. Lastly, good thing about Caitlin is Thomas had moved into his place probably like 3 months ago. Not at the time of this story, not now. And I walked in and I was like, cool, let's eat something. He's like, okay, but you have to sit on the floor because I have one chair. Okay. So he meets Caitlin, and I come back the next time, and he's got all this furniture. So I think it's pretty evident. You guys are a great pair. You complement each other, and you both have excellent qualities that will make you a lovely couple extending far into the future. So, raise your glass. Congratulations to the bride and groom.